All right. Well, welcome everybody. DJ3, I may be putting you a little bit on the spot. I know you got to jump out early for us today. Is it all right if I tap you on the shoulder and give us a warm Health Point welcome? Uh-oh. Oh, do we lose DJ3?
No, he's on mute.
He's
Right.
muted.
DJ3, are you able to unmute?
I'm practicing using the various mute skills at my ability. So thank you for letting me know that I've mastered them. Yay! But thank you all so very much for taking time out of your schedules to come and hang out with us today.
And first initials.
My name is DJ3. I'm the Director of Talent Pathways and Learning at Health Point. I'm also one of the co-captains of the HILT team. We hope that you come in this morning, you share your ideas, you share your concepts, you fellowship with us, you connect with us. We see this as a great opportunity for us to collectively partner to help make our situation better. And we can't do it without you. So bring your energy, bring your joy, bring your essence, and help us create that wonderful talent pipeline, that wonderful healthcare organization that is really providing the needs of everyone in our community. Thank you and welcome.
All right.
Thank you, DJ3. And DJ3 is in need of reinforcements right now. Hopefully your hiring is going well, DJ3, to give you some help there. But he is offering free lunch and notepads if you want to come and help out at Health Point. And James, do we want to jump to the next slide? Good deal. So just a couple things, just a reminder, and I'm Ryan Davis. I'm the honor and pleasure of being the Executive Director of Seattle Jobs Initiative, one of your co-conveners. So James has talked about renaming yourself on your video feed so we know who you are, because we're now pressing on 60 folks coming in, outstanding. And then keep introducing yourself in the chat box. And just a friendly reminder, if you can please mute yourself when not speaking, because we got a lot of folks in here. Go ahead, James. So just a quick reminder about our HILT purpose and vision. So we are a network of diverse, small, large healthcare providers in King, Pierce, and Snohomish County who come together and work also alongside our higher education and our amazing support partners as well. We are 3 years old, going on 4 years. And we are committed to equity and diversity as we build our healthcare workforce for the future. And our meeting today, our goals are we're going to do some quick updates. This meeting is going to be a little bit different than some of the usual kind of HILT quarterly formula. We're going to do some really quick updates from a couple of our committees. And then we're going to give a brief update around where we are with the Good Jobs Challenge grant on working with our 3 workforce development councils. And then we're going to get to work and break out into breakout groups and gather folks' commitments for where they want to be able to plug into this opportunity. So again, a little bit different than what we've done before. You're going to hear a little bit more of me than usual as we get started, but as we get into that, the conveners will flip into listening mode and be able to gather that feedback on the work that's been done. So for quick updates, and again, just a friendly reminder to keep yourself muted when not speaking, want to turn it over to Shauna Rufkin from Seattle Children's to give us a quick update on the Talent Pipeline Committee. Shauna.
Thanks, Ryan, and good morning, everyone. Just briefly wanted to share that we did on November 4th had the opportunity to reconvene the Talent Pipeline Committee and realign around the purpose for that committee, which is really to create a working space or provide a working space to actualize HILT goals related to collaborative talent development, workforce diversity, and equity. And we had a chance to catch up on the primary kind of pillars of the student experience package, which has been the focus of the Talent Pipeline Committee, which includes the career event, which we've had 2 iterations of, and As an FYI, keep an eye out soon. I think maybe within the next couple of days, you should all be receiving a link to a survey to get your feedback on how you and your organization wants to be involved in the next iteration of the career event coming up next spring. We also had some updates on the mentoring program element of the student experience package, the Speakers Bureau, which is ongoing, and the video library. On the topic of the video library, there is a lot of work happening thanks to Consuelo and the support of the Talent Pipeline Committee to begin to build out that library. And there is another ask here today to think about videos that you may already have or may be creating that you think might be aligned with the collaborative efforts of the HILT to create awareness, exposure, engagement with, in particular, I think young people, but people more broadly in the community who may or may not be considering a career in healthcare. And this is an opportunity to expose people to the very, very wide array of opportunities and to begin to get people connected as part of our future talent pipeline. That those can go to Consuelo. Questions about that can also go to Consuelo or to any of the conveners. And we will be, the Talent Pipeline Committee will be meeting on a quarterly cadence to align with the meeting schedule of the full HILT. So we'll be able to bring back updates to this group and additional opportunities to get involved.
Great. Thanks so much, Shauna. And Consuelo in the chat put down a helpful flyer. So if you want to, within your organizations, if you have folks that have great presence and would love to make a short video to be able to add to our library, there is a flyer that gives a guidance of what we're looking for, some step-by-step instructions. And then if you just send that over to Consuelo, pretty soon you too can be a YouTube star. We will get you up on the site. And we can all start building our social media brands, but more importantly, be able to have those assets out into the community so that students can be able to access those year round and using some of those asymmetric technologies. So our next quick update is we do have an event coming up in partnership with Healthier Here. Do want to call out this amazing partnership that we have, and we're continuing to build with Healthier Here. And we have a couple trainings around nurse retention and burnout prevention. Denise, do you want to give us a quick update on these events?
I'm practicing unmuting as well. Yes. Okay. So we have been talking about nurse burnout prevention for a while, and we finally are able to offer a two-part series that will be free for our nursing staff and critical professionals that are in need of learning different habits that will help them take better care of themselves. So part one will be 1 hour strategy training on December 15th from 11 a.m. to 12 p.m. And the part two will be a 2 hour best practices implementation and coaching on January 12th from 10 to 12. We encourage all nurse supervisors, unit floor supervisors, HR talent acquisition, and continuing education directors, administrators, and executives. All are welcome to join us. We feel that that's a relevant audience that will be able to pick up some really relevant information on keeping nurses healthy and prevent that nurse burnout.
All right, fantastic, Denise. And again, once again, thanks to Healthier Here for partnering on this event and being able to get there and look forward to attending those events before the holiday season and then a little bit after. So with that, I think we're going to be able to jump into our main part of our meeting, which is talking about our Build Back Better grant that we are working in partnership with our amazing workforce development councils in King, Pierce, and Snohomish County. And I do want to call out Joy Emery, the CEO from Snohomish County, who's joining us today. Welcome, Joy, to HILT. We have been doing a lot of work leading up to this. And so we've had about 6 different meetings between October and November, really gathering ideas and coalescing strategies and things together. I'm going to provide a very high level summary, and then we're going to break into groups with each of our conveners to be able to identify organizations of where folks want to be able to plug in. But you can see on the right-hand side just some of the employer organizations that have been able to participate. And kudos for everybody for reaching within their organizations and getting new faces to HILT to be able to support the amazing work that is being done. I know this may be repetitive for some of the folks that have attended multiple of the 6 meetings, but I do want to go ahead and start and do a quick overview of the opportunity that's ahead of us and a quick summary of the work that has been done to date. So we can go next slide, James. Go ahead and click one more. Great. So we are really focusing on our nursing and then our allied health workforce because we know that our workforce is in crisis. COVID, we were in not great shape. We were all trying to find solutions even pre-COVID, but COVID has really pushed that forward. At our last quarterly meeting, Washington Center for Nursing provided some really dire statistics on nurses that are leaving the field or looking to change jobs. And we also recognize that we're an amazing sector partnership here to be able to address that challenge. And consistent with all the work at HILT, we want to be able to center race equity in the work that we are doing. And so based on those assumptions, we have been going out and having meetings with our large providers, our small community providers that provide some amazing insights and ideas, our college partners and our support and CBO partners in the workforce system. Next slide. So as we apply for this grant, and this grant, again, just if you have not heard, it's pretty meaty. These are not small numbers. We're talking up to $25 million per applicant. Whether we'll be able to get to that number or not, we'll go through the process to do that. But this is a very large opportunity, and being able to take our newfound collaboration across county lines is super exciting. What has really come out of the concept is really we need to really focus on 3 pipelines. So the first one is nursing. We have a lot of folks that get through the pre-nursing part of the pathway, and then they get turned away at the nursing school door. We don't have that capacity in that pipeline to be able to do that. And so we want to be able to remove that backlog by adding that capacity, and then hopefully being able to advance individuals that want to move from a nursing assistant role or other type of occupation to be able to go into that nursing pipeline. But we've also recognized that allied health we need to beef up our allied health workforce as well. And we're really focused on that increasing apprenticeship capacity among our employers. We have particularly among potentially some smaller employers that maybe have not been able to engage in apprenticeship programs, and then be able to identify where in our amazing community and technical college partners we need to be able to expand that program capacity. And then finally, we really can't do any of this capacity without building a pipeline of future faculty. And so those faculty opportunities, that can be shared faculty, individuals that have one foot in industry and the other foot in the classroom. But we really want to build that pathway starting as preceptors, because precepting is teaching, precepting is mentoring, all those skills that are needed in expert nurses and allied health professionals that are teaching our next generation can be started at the preceptor level. And then how can we build those shared opportunities between our industry partners and our college partners? So that's the high level overview. And then as we go to the next slide, we'll dig into some more of the detail around the nursing pipeline barriers and strategies. And again, thanks to everybody that has participated and shaped some of the words with this to really kind of capture these things. So we broke down the barriers of this pipeline is constricted in multiple points. So we talked about the first one, which is there's only so many seats in nursing schools, and fundamentally we have to change that. And our key strategy around that is we want to create shared faculty opportunities between industry and colleges so that we can have more nurse faculty to be able to take more nursing students. We recognize that it looks great on a slide and great in the concept that there'll be some hard work to do that. And that's why we're seeking the investment from the Build Back Better grant to be able to make these systemic and structural changes to be able to make that happen. But once we get folks into nursing school, we have another barrier, which is we're already stressed on clinical placements. And we know that COVID has added additional stresses to that with the restrictions. So we have a couple strategies there. The first one is we want to be able to see, can we build some employer capacity to have some more of these clinical placements so that we can keep that flow going? But we also want to be able to increase our simulation capacity through shared equipment and staff and software through a simulation consortium, so that we're all of our different programs aren't doing things in silos, but rather we can collaborate together to share those resources to be able to use simulation capacity to expand our clinical placement and clinical hour completion. And then we want to continue from the policy lens of being able to keep in place those opportunities for simulation to meet the needs for clinical placement credits as well. But once we get people through nursing school and they pass their NCLEX and they're brand new RNs, we run into yet another barrier. And this has come out from our employer partners, particularly some of our community partners, saying, here I am in workforce and HR, but I'm also onboarding folks. We just don't have capacity particularly for new graduates to be able to onboard folks. So the one thing that we can't create in workforce is experienced folks, but one thing that has come up is that in Washington State, it's really complicated to get your out-of-state nursing license, and there could be long delays. So we want to work on that to see if the folks that are coming into our state and into our region, we can get them into our workforce a lot faster. But we want to be able to work together, particularly in the shared development of preceptors for smaller providers. Our large providers often have preceptor training for preceptors within their institutions, but our smaller providers just don't have that capacity. So how can we come together to be able to leverage that? And then also that shared faculty component that we talked about to be able to expand the size of the door into nursing programs. How can we leverage those shared faculty to be able to create that additional capacity to onboard new RNs, as well as hiring new nurse technicians as a strategy to be able to accelerate that? And then finally, to be able to address that experience question, nurse residencies have surfaced, and we do have some nurse residencies within our ecosystem, but we want to be able to expand our capacity to be able to do that. That is both within our large providers as well as our community providers that have already done a little bit of legwork, interestingly, to be able to potentially have a community nursing residency, for example. So those are the key strategies that we've been able to address in nursing. And as we get into breakouts, if you have any questions about these or need more detail on those, the conveners are armed with all the detail that goes behind that. On our allied health professions, we have looked at some needs from both our large providers and our community providers. Medical assistants continue to be a shared need. And we do have both college programs and apprenticeships for medical assistants. In our community clinics, dental assistants continue to come up as a big need because dental health care is incredibly important as well. There are apprenticeships for sterile processing technicians and pharmacy technicians as well that we've heard demand for. And then currently there's college programs for surgical technicians, imaging technicians, so x-rays, CAT scans, MRIs, and then of course on the wake of COVID, respiratory technician programs are those key professions that have really surfaced to the top as being the most in demand. So with that, our next slide. We have done some work and also broken down this pipeline barrier into a couple of different elements as well. So on the enrollment side, we've heard that the cost of the related supplemental instruction in the apprenticeship model is a barrier, particularly for less resourced healthcare providers. And so we want to be able to build capacity to be able to secure a Washington College grant funds to be able to pay for those RSI expenses. Some of that work is already going on, but we want to build that into this regional ecosystem and build that capacity and take that financial burden off of some of our employers. And then we also have heard, particularly again from our community providers, they're lacking that there's not that capacity to keep up, particularly with that administrative component for apprenticeship. So could we potentially fund apprenticeship coordinator positions that could be shared across some of our regional small employers to be able to build that capacity for more positions? And then we also need to have apprentices need good mentors. And again, that same issue that we had with the preceptors and nurses, folks are really busy. It's really hard. That mentorship is often another duty is assigned. But what can we do to build up that regional capacity to be able to have mentors? And whether those mentors can serve for apprentices or new hires coming out of our community and technical college programs. And then we also recognize that there are no apprenticeships in some of the other allied health occupations, and identifying which of those might be apprenticeable or which of those we just need to expand capacity in our community and technical college programs. We know some of these programs are really expensive and take a lot of capacity and equipment to be able to do. So during this grant, as we come together, should we be awarded this, looking into how we can expand that capability. So again, all of these items have come together through all these meetings over this past quarter. They have been honed. There's more detail in the back end of this. But what we're going to do now is break into 4 different groups. And you are going to be able to self-select the group that best represents you. We're going to have groups of our large providers, our community providers, our higher, can you go back, James, really quick? Our higher education providers, and then our support partners. If there's no wrong answer, so if you're like, well, I'm kind of in between, pick the group that you feel most comfortable joining. And we have really 3 questions that we want to gather information from folks. So we need to know, now is the time. We've had these great ideas. Is your organization interested in plugging in on particular strategies? So we want to be able to gather that. So if, sorry, Sean, I'm going to pick on Seattle Children's. If Seattle Children's is super interested in the expanding nurse residencies, we want to know that so that as we go into creating this grant opportunity. And then second, do you have anything that's already there that are the assets that are already on the table that we can use to leverage the work so that we can show the Department of Commerce that we're not starting from scratch. We've already got pieces on the table. We just need to be able to advance them and correlate them and use that additional investment to be able to go forward. And then third, if your organization does have specific needs that you would like, you've got holes that that need to be filled, please let us know so we can start to gather that. And as we kind of convene those questions together and put that into a coordinated regional application.
Ryan, this is
yes, ma'am.
This is Suzanne Swadner. This is what I hope. This is what I hope is a quick question, and it's just because I missed the last couple of meetings.
Oh, great.
How are we connected to commerce? I'm just trying, as you do this, you're doing such a beautiful job of articulating the needs and some places where you're looking for grants, but commerce, I know, has a big pool of money for a variety of things. How are we connected to them?
So this grant opportunity, Build Back Better, is coming out through U.S. Department of Commerce, and it is focused exclusively on sector partnerships, just like HILT. You must have an active and robust partnership to even apply. So we've already gotten over that bar, and now we're getting into the ideas of what we'd like to do with their money.
And I'm getting confused between the 2 commerces, the federal and the state.
Oh, yes. No. This is not state. This is federal. So
and I'll connect back with you just to make sure I understand more. I don't want to take more of people's time.
Great. Thank you. All right. And James, can we go to the last slide, please? So just logistics. So you're gonna have one of our friendly co-conveners in each one of the groups. When I tell James to push the red button, you are going to, the breakout rooms are going to appear and you are going to need to self-select into the meeting that you are going to go into. If you run into an issue, James will hang around in the main room for a bit and you can chat him and he can help be able to do that. The higher ed folks, James will be just a few minutes late joining you. So again, please select that room and then we will jump right into the work and design session and getting this, this great feedback as we hone this concept down. So James, with that, do you want to push the red button?
Yes, I'm gonna push the button right now. I'm just doing one last final edit.